Friday, 7 o'clock. We're here again, baby. My second episode. I'm excited. It was a fantastic first show. You guys were great, better than I could have ever imagined with all the comments, questions, everything you threw my way. I loved it from all the Eagles fans and even the non-Eagles fans that joined in. I love it, man. I love talking football. So, that's what we're here to do, especially in very trying times. Not to take away from those times, but, to give people a little bit of an escape. And that's what we're doing here tonight. So tonight's show is brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. Dr. Paul Vidal, he's our doc. Use him because he's great. And, Tom's been telling me all kinds of stuff since I got here. So I'm excited to, be able to do all kinds of stuff for these guys. Hopefully we can hook players up. But, he's in the Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton area. So check him out. Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC.com. So, tonight's show, I'm pumped. I'm very pumped. It's another exciting night where, tonight I did not, unfortunately, got no guests for you. I don't have any players, anything, a lot of things going on. Tom's been busy. We're all busy. I actually got to jump on a little bit earlier today. Steve and Tom asked me to come on. It was awesome. Got to talk to Chris Lieben and Pisa Tina Samoa, I want to say. They were great guys. We got to talk a lot about very important things. So it was really cool to be a part of that. So I thank A2D for allowing me to have a platform like this and be able to talk to you guys about, the Eagles and anything you guys want to talk about. So any questions or comments that you guys have, please feel free. And my wonderful producer, Ralph, will hook me up with the questions and the comments, and we'll try to take it from there. But I'll just keep rolling with what I've got for you guys tonight. And that's pretty much last week we talked about, we broke down pretty much the whole roster. We looked at where things were, where they stood with, things as a whole right now, and understand that there's definitely some changes that could be made. And we don't know what things look like because no one's hit the grass. So it's very hard for us to sit here and actually gauge what the hell's going on. So here we are, and we're just going to, now this week, I want to talk about the actual additions that we made. Last week was pretty intense. I didn't think I was going to be able to go very long, and we ended up going 2 hours, so it was pretty fantastic. I missed a couple things I really wanted to talk about, so I thought we could talk about those things in its own episode. So tonight we're going to talk about the additions the Eagles have made and who was the best addition for the Philadelphia Eagles. As I looked at things, and, I've been talking about this, we've all been talking about this, since the draft, free agency, we're doing with what we can here. But I figured tonight we'll talk about the free agents. We'll talk about what we did there. We can talk about the draft, and we'll also break down some of the undrafted free agents. We can also talk about some of the guys we lost, but we'll also talk about some of the personnel changes we made. So I'm really excited for this season. Looks like things are hopefully turning around for the better when it comes to Corona. I'm no doctor. I'm not here to tell you what's going on, but for all intents and purposes, let's hope that football comes back. Who knows if we're actually going to be there? We'll see. What's going on, David? Thanks for tuning in, man. Let's go Birds. I love it. I'm here tonight to talk some Birds. Top wideout. Come on now. The top wideout that we got, we're definitely going to break him down. And that was actually the poll question tonight that I hope you guys answer. Agree to disagree. That's the wonderful thing about this place. So do you agree or do you disagree? Is Jalen Reagor going to be the top fantasy wide receiver this year? Now, we're talking about a lot of good wide receivers that were in this draft class. And a lot of people that wanted these wide receivers. We talk about CeeDee Lamb going to the Cowboys. We know. Judy went to the Broncos. Not sure how Locke's going to do there. There's a lot of questions out there. My opinion has to be Darius Slay. Oh, yeah. Darius Slay. Love that man. And that's another one. So I wanted to break it down because it's like someone made a post where it was, I believe it was definitely A2D. I can't remember who it was exactly. What's going on, Greg? Ralphie. Ralphie's a good man. I just got to meet him a couple minutes before this, but I'm loving it, man. Love you guys. And whoever made that post, it was really cool. Who was the biggest impact? And, I can't pick because I love Darius Slay. I love Jalen Reagor. I was on both of them and we got both of them. So I'm really pumped. Greg disagrees with the poll. Definitely has talent, but don't think the offense will be centered around him. I agree with that. We're definitely going to break that down in a second here, Greg. And, that's exactly what we're going to talk about because, that's the thing. When you look at this, you're like, man, there's a lot of guys. Nickel Roby-Coleman, I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on him. Watch out for him too, man. Someone I've been talking about for weeks because you're seeing a lot of these names. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be better than Slayer or anything, but he really is going to help us with that slot. LeBlanc's going to be able to move around. Maddox will be able to move around. Don't have to use them at the nickel as much. But, we talk about the sub packages, all that stuff. So, Rob, Slay was the best addition. Yep. So, you see, when it comes to free agency, we talk about the guys we picked up. Javon Hargrave, what a huge addition that is, I'm very excited. Kevon Wallace should start. Hey, man, he definitely could. He's going to push Mills and Parks. Will Parks is another guy we brought in from the Denver Broncos. I'm pumped about that addition because you lose someone like Malcolm Jenkins who plays every damn down for you. That's a big loss. So how do you fill that void? You go ahead, you move a guy that should have been there from the beginning, Jalen Mills, move him back. You bring in Will Parks from the Broncos. Then you go ahead and draft Kevon Wallace. This guy's going to fight. Maybe see multiple guys on the field at the same time in these sub packages. I think Jim is chomping at the bit to use this defense. He's finally got the pieces. So I'm excited because we saw injury after injury. So the key is, we got to stay healthy. We know that. JJ, I'm going to be real with you. That will not happen, in my opinion. I just don't see it. The Cowboys definitely got better. They definitely did. I'm not going to lie to you. Trevon Diggs was a good addition. CeeDee Lamb was a good addition. They've got great players. It's going to be battles. There's always battles in the NFC East, man. And always. Cobb had over 800 yards as a third stringer. Yeah, it's going to be intense, man. You guys got Cooper. You have all kinds of weapons. I mean, you have one of the best running backs. Let's get real here. And then you have Gallup. It's explosive. I don't sit here and lie. I'm not going to sit here, but, I hate the Cowboys. Let's keep it real. But, yeah, they got a good team. It's going to be an interesting battle this year. But I think with Carson Wentz with weapons, you lost Carson Wentz without weapons. You're going to find out with a revamped defense and an offense. Woohoo! I missed that last name, and I apologize. Alec, go Birds! You know it, baby. All about that. I think the Eagles are primed to win this division. Daro, long time no see, my man. Fly Eagles, fly indeed. So I think the Eagles are really in a prime position to take this division and really could get back to, being the trophy talk. So let's have that trophy talk because we saw what Carson Wentz did. We know what Carson Wentz is. So let's keep it real, man. Make or break year for Jalen Mills, indeed. 1 year deal. That's why we got to see what he's learned. And we've talked about this for years. What should we do with Jalen Mills? Not start him at corner. Only in the red zone was he actually good. So, and we talked about this. And now we're here. Love to be a part of A2D. So all of us are going to talk about it. And, it's something that finally me and Tom got to talk about. I love it because definitely on the same page there. Jalen Mills at safety. I love the move, but very intrigued to see how he actually does. So he's got guys that are going to push him, though. You got Will Parks. You got Kevon Wallace. So I'm intrigued. Very, very intrigued. There's some question marks. There's definitely question marks. So we talked about this last week where we're excited, but these question marks are because of a lot of the issues going on in the world right now. So it's like, I think we're going to add people. I think there's possibilities for running backs, defensive ends, linebackers, maybe even a corner to compete. But, the cornerback position is very questionable, but you know how the Eagles roll, and they believe in their guys. So maybe they're hoping Sidney Jones and Avonte Maddox and Rasul Douglas will push each other for that cornerback number 2. You got Slay, number 1. Nickel Roby-Coleman, LeBlanc, and Maddox can dance with that nickel position. So we'll see there. Prescott, middle of contract dispute. Lock shows something. Carr, too inconsistent. And you look at some of the other guys that are out there. Jefferson, the Vikings like to run the ball a lot. But I'm kind of torn on this. I don't necessarily agree with it. I just got to make a poll question. So that's what I picked because I thought it was a very intriguing question. There's guys like Ayuk on the 49ers, and it's like, yeah, man, they're going to be in a good team. But it's like a good team doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a good fantasy receiver. Now, Carson Wentz, he likes to spread the ball around. So that's hard to say that Reagor is going to – and I said that when we talked about last week, is he going to be a rookie of the year? I don't believe so. I think that he really has a chance to be great. For you guys that don't know, I made a breakdown video a month before the draft about who I thought would be the perfect fit for the Eagles, and that was Jalen Reagor. So I'm high on this kid. I just don't think that he's going to come in here and be the number one. You have to remember, for now, we have Alshon Jeffrey. We have Deshaun Jackson, hopefully coming back healthy. But if you look at it, this is what Carson Wentz likes. He was one of the top 10 passers in deep passing. And that's, pretty phenomenal for what he had last year. Disagree, not sure who. It'll be interesting. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, Frank. Jerry Jeudy, and I think he could. He's one of the best for sure. But the problem there is, it's like, is Drew Lock? I mean, Cortland Sutton did well, but now you've got Sutton and him. So is he going to really feast like that? I think he could. I think he'll actually outplay Sutton, to be honest with you. But that's a tough one for me. So I agree with you there. It's really rough to see that. Ruggs, it's like, Derek Carr. I believe someone just said that. So it's like, I don't know. They all have very challenging times, just like Jalen Reagor. But I think he's going to come in and be utilized a lot. And in fantasy, I play in a league where you get return yards. So if this dude is playing returner, you're damn right. I mean, I'm going to try to get him anyway. But he's going to be running the ball. He's going to be catching the ball. We're going to be PPR even, I think, because, how we roll with those little bubble screens, all that stuff. Get him the ball in space and watch this kid work. And he can work on all three levels, too, when it comes to route running, all that stuff, dude. I mean, broke it down in a video, and I love talking about him, and I understand some people were skeptical because I was a little skeptical. I had to watch tape on him. I had to break it down. And what I saw was some pretty great stuff. And the stuff, we talk about, it's like 30.7% on target pass percentage. That's pretty terrible. I'm going to be real with you. That's really terrible. Third worst in all of college football. And that is what was happening to this kid. And, he had some concentration drops, but I try to put that into context. I try to look at it and be like, okay, he's playing for a crap team, never getting the ball at the last year. And because he had good years, his first two, but he drops off his junior year, his final year. And you look at the redshirt freshman, Max Duggan, it's not a good time. So you got to think that this guy is probably thinking ahead before he catches the ball. I better catch the ball, and I better make it work. You know what I mean? So I think he got a little ahead of himself. I think not being the focal point of this offense is going to be something that is going to work out great for this kid. And I think he's definitely going to thrive. And for a very long time, him and Carson, I think, will grow to be something special. Slay is definitely going to eat, man. Interview. He's always wanted to be Eagles. Yeah, baby. EAGLES. Eagles. I love it. I feel it, and I can't wait to get that back. I can't. Yeah, and exactly. You talk about 1,000-yard rusher. And there was no receiver over 500 yards, and he had 4,000 yards passing. Carson Wentz is phenomenal, man. I don't even understand why people even try to argue that. Reagor in the best situation. Yep. Yeah, and exactly. We talk about that. Cooper and Gallup there in Dallas. So CD will probably do good, but I don't know if he'll necessarily be something you can rely on every week. But that's just kind of same notion I have with Reagor. If you've ever had Eagles players, you understand that it's rough because as an Eagles fan, it sucks. And I hate doing that because I'd rather watch the game. And I don't like paying attention to fantasy because real life Eagles are very important and much more important than anything to me. Sure, I like money. I like winning. But I try not to get too focused on it, but it's rough because you don't know unless you have Carson Wentz, and even having him last year, things get a little rowdy at times. But that was because of all the injuries, all the things that were happening, and I think now with all the weapons, man, some of those guys are going to eat. Maybe you'll see a drop off for Zach Ertz, but I think Carson Wentz is going to be a top quarterback for fantasy football for sure. I think Reagor, if you look at it, I think he could definitely be a top 3 because there's, like you said, there's question marks to everyone. But, Jeudy is playing there with Drew Lock, and then you look at Cooper and Gallup being with CeeDee Lamb there in Dallas, and Justin Jefferson being on a predominantly running team. You got Dalvin Cook there. Kirk Cousins sucks. So, it is what it is there. But I think the Eagles truly are going to have a very explosive offense. And by the end of the year, Jalen Reagor could be one of the top ones because if you look at who's in front of him, Marquise Goodwin, Deshaun Jackson, both injury prone. So if they both are on the team and they're getting hurt, maybe this kid steps in and he's that speed receiver because eventually he will be that guy for Carson Wentz. He'll be what Tyreek Hill is for Doug Peterson Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. I think we have that and we'll have that, and we've got a great offense. We talk about the best tight end duo. We have a great young running back. Can't wait for the second year for Miles Sanders. So I think Reagor is definitely the best when it comes to draft picks. But when you talk about free agents, we obviously didn't really even add anyone on offense other than we traded for Marquise Goodwin and then added Casey Tucker, who was on the team last year before he got punched in the face by Sharif Miller. So didn't really add much. And people were losing their mind, but, it was like, hey, let's pump the brakes. Let's see what we do in the draft. So in the draft, we came out. And I know, a lot of people were actually pissed about Reagor too. So that was definitely a curveball for some people, especially because of the fact that, Justin Jefferson was available. So that really pissed people off. And I like Justin Jefferson, but I think Reagor was the better fit. So I was not pissed. But then the Jalen Hurts pick, you're like, what the we need? So it was very questionable. It is what it is now, man. I mean, we can't do anything about it. I'm just going to try to not care as much, but it does kind of eat at my soul. Anyways, it is what it is there. Fine. But then they backed it up and they won defense with linebacker, and then they went with a safety, and then we hit an offensive lineman, and it was like, are we going to maybe double dip at receiver at some point? Are we going to help the offense? And then they were just like trade central, made those 3 trades. Cowboys, Dolphins, like Bears were involved. Picked up John Hightower. Marquise Goodwin was a part of that. We traded back from like 190 to 210. I loved that. Then they went and got Quez Watkins. We added Prince Tega Winogo. We talked about adding depth at the line. So they did that with, Driscoll and him, and added receivers, 4 receivers in the draft, essentially, because you drafted 3 and traded for Goodwin. So I definitely love what they did there for sure. I can't be mad about that. So we addressed issues of concern. So I think the additions we made were good. And I thought it was worthy of topic because, when you look at it, it's like even with just the free agents, Darius Slay, Javon Hargrave, like right there in itself, I was like, that's a tough topic. And Nikel Roby-Coleman, he's definitely going to help. But you look at that, it gives you conversation. It's like Javon Hargrave is going to eat, and he's going to allow Fletcher Cox to eat. He's going to allow Malik Jackson to eat. These guys are going to come in. Son Ridgeway is going to be part of that rotation in the middle there, and that's going to make it easier on our defensive ends who have struggled. We exercised the 5th-year option on Derek Barnett. We're going to see what he can do, and we're going to hope that he produces more. You think that a guy that breaks Reggie White's record in college would produce a little more, but he has not. So here we are. But dude, I am excited for the Javon Hargrave edition. So I love that. I love the Will Parks edition. Philly guy, if you follow him on Twitter or anywhere, just watch it, man. He's passionate. He's loving it. He's doing things. He's already trying to help in the community. Like I said, he's from Philly. So it's awesome to see that. I'm very excited. I think that when we talked about free agency, before free agency, it was everybody was gunning for a lot of these names that, I didn't really care for, your Brashard Perrimans and all Byron Jones. People wanted to overpay. It's like you look at Darius Slay, Nikel Roby-Coleman, right there in itself is like $4 or $5 million on the cap. Byron Jones, he got like an 18.5. I don't know exactly what his cap it is, but I imagine pretty high. So Brashard Perriman, I felt like he was very overrated playing in the Buccaneers offense, that had Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, people keying on them. They throw the ball all the time. I didn't really think he was someone that was going to come here, thrive. Everyone thought he was going to be this number 1 guy. I don't see that. We already have Alshon. That's enough of a I love when he's healthy. I love what he does, but I don't necessarily think that, we can rely on Alshon either. So that scares me. But I like the receiving core if they stay healthy. So we have to keep coming back to that word healthy. And I hate it, but that's been our issue the last few years. We've got talent, and people, I think, freaked out before free agency. And it's like, if we add depth where we need to, I think we'll be good to go. So we started adding depth, and, the free agency, it was literally like all defense. So I didn't mind that. And then you talk about someone actually I've seen people talk about, Trevor Williams, ex-Charger, played there for like 4 years or so. Dealt with some injuries, but he also started a couple games. Not the greatest of players, but you never know what you're going to get from someone in a new system. So he's someone that's also going to compete. He was someone that was brought in a little under the radar in the offseason, way before free agency and all that. So as a reserve future contract. So he's here. He's going to compete. Another guy in the room, at least. Rasul Douglas restructure, which is weird on a rookie contract, but not producing. So not getting paid, man. Prove what, I mean, you're our tall corner, man. You're 6'2". So I don't know, man. I'd love to see these guys step it up. But cornerbacks, questionable. Linebackers, very questionable. I thought we would add someone in free agency, but one of the things we talk about, you know, we were patient for the draft. We went in the draft and got 2 linebackers. We got Sean Bradley and we got Davion Taylor. And then Dante Olson, the undrafted kid. And I know it's still very scary because it's like you got TJ Edwards, who we loved last year, talked about him. Really excited to see what he has this year. Great against the run, but where's his pass coverage at? You know, and then you look at Nate Gary, great against the pass, horrible against the run. And I know he was dealing with some injuries, which is awesome. So maybe that was part of it. But, you know, it's definitely question marks. Do we bring someone like Nigel Bradham back? Do we bring in an Alec Ogletree or a Deron Lee? You know, there's a couple guys that are out there that are pretty decent that could be a veteran presence. And, you know, the Eagles seem like they enjoy doing that. They don't seem to put much of an emphasis on linebacker too much. I love Nigel Bradham. He's still out there. I'd love to see him come back in, be a leader. But, you know, I really would like Davion Taylor to step up, and Sean Bradley. Sean Bradley is somebody I was excited about before the draft. Davion Taylor was more of a curveball to me, but I actually watched a lot of tape on him because I was so pissed off about the Jalen Hurts pick that I had to have something that helped ease my mind. So I went ahead and watched a lot, and this kid is just raw, man. And he could bulk up a little, but he could help us in the nickel. He could be that guy that we're looking for that can play against pass, but he can hit. He's fast. Stuff you can't teach, man. So teach him up, and we'll see, you know, what Ken Flajole can do with him. And I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see what those young guys can do. But very scary at that position. So I'm definitely questioning what is going to happen at linebacker, you know. But maybe we do bring back Bradham. We talked about those things where signing people after, you know, the draft for the compensatory pick formula, so it doesn't count against you. Well, now, if you also, some other news, if you saw, Tim Jernigan is not signing with the Texans now, apparently. So we are going to miss out on a 6th-round compensatory pick. So that sucks. Looks like we're only going to get 3 next year, but whatever, it is what it is, because now if he signs somewhere, it's not going to count. So that's a bummer. But, hey, maybe Timmy comes back. But I don't know. I think, you know, when you saw guys last year, Rush, Huggins, you know, they were competing. So we have competition. We have bodies for training camp. I love Timmy. Don't get me wrong. But he's up there. He's in age. He's dealing with injuries a lot. Maybe that's something to do with why the Texans did not take him or whatever the issue is there. I'm not sure. But I think we're okay at defensive tackle. I think that's one of the positions I'm really excited about. Now, once again, predicated off of healthiness. And if you look at it, honestly, Fletcher Cox came back a little too early with his injury. He dealt with some nagging injuries, so that was very unfortunate to see. You know, people were on him. It's like, all right, man. But Malik Jackson was brought in here to do a lot, and I think you play inside, outside with him. And he was going to be a big part of this defense, and we didn't see anything. So I think getting him back's huge. We talked about Hargrave signing, so I'm excited. Ridgeway, though, also hurt. So 3 of those guys is just named out of 4 were hurt last year. That's risky business. So I don't know. Who do you bring in another defensive tackle? You got Raequan Williams, that undrafted kid from Michigan State. So, like I said, you got bodies there. You're going to have some competition, but I think defensive tackle, I do feel comfortable at the time. But when you look at the injury history, I guess, you know, maybe it is a little scary there, honestly. So I could definitely, I could see maybe Timmy. I don't know. I've seen people talking about it, so maybe that's something that people are interested in. But I just don't. It's not something I see. I think we're trying to get over, you know, the whole nostalgia thing. So whether or not, you know, we're gonna do anything like that, I don't know. We'll see. JP, that's another name we talked about. You know, do we bring him back? And I've heard that conversation because it needs to be talked about. Something I feel strongly about. I know something Tom feels strongly about because we talked about it a little earlier today. Why not bring JP back? Because if Dillard can't beat out a 38-year-old left tackle, then he doesn't deserve that job as a first-round pick. And I got faith in Dillard. I like Dillard. That's the guy I thought we'd draft 2 years ago, and we did. And it's someone I'm high on, but he had to work on his run game. I thought with a year behind Jason Peters and Jeff Stoutland as your offensive line coach, you wouldn't be crying in the locker room. And I'm not trying to make fun of people, with, mental problem or anything like that. If it's, anything personal like that, but, got to toughen up, man. If you're going to be the left tackle of the Philadelphia Eagles and Carson Wentz, blindside, man, come on, dude. We need you to step it up. My expectation projection for Dillard for 6 weeks. I'm glad you brought this up. Prism, you were watching the video earlier. Thank you. This is something I was alluding to, and just getting to with Dillard, look at that. We're facing guys with 10 plus sacks. You're talking about, oh my God. We face TJ Watt, Aaron Donald. So Cam Jordan was on that list, I think. There's so many great names on that list where it's like, oh my God. So why don't you bring someone like JP back, especially in a time where these guys have not been on the field? You have no idea what this kid looks like. Oh, yeah, you got Zoom conversations, and oh, that's great. I want to see what he's got on the field because, like this gentleman Prism just mentioned, we've got some tough tests coming up. So he better be tough and ready for this challenge, because if not, we're going to lose our quarter. So we can't. No, bring in Jason Peters, make him compete. And if he can beat him out, then he's your left tackle. I mean, we talk about you brought in Jalen Hurts when you have Carson Wentz and you just gave him all that money. Competition, we're just backing up. We're the quarterback factory, apparently. Oh, really? Well, we should protect that factory. You should definitely put fences up. So get yourself a fence. Get yourself a JP, a bodyguard, someone that's going to stand outside there and protect it. I think it's a no-brainer. You have $23.5 million on free in cap space. Like, are you kidding me? Use it. I understand. $51 million over the cap next year. Wonderful. Figure it out how we know you can make it work with a one-year deal. You're offering people like Devontae Freeman contracts. Rather see that left tackle position shored up, because who are you looking at? Jordan Mailata, we have no idea what we got from him. Loved the kid, loved the idea, loved the prospect, but I don't know what he is. Don't know what he's got. I have no idea. Ryan, my man, thanks for tuning in, brother. But I don't know what I have. And I don't know. I like Matt Pryor, a guy that can play guard, a guy that can play tackle. I'm pumped about that. You draft someone like Driscoll who played tackle and guard, but probably going to play guard. Said he's been working at center because he knows he's going to be used inside, a little bit shorter of arms. I think probably find him on the inside, but you talk about someone like Prince Tega Winogo. He's someone that is going to push him. So I like that, but bring in a veteran. That's not a position that you mess around with. What's going on, Michael? Thanks for tuning in, brother. I'm super excited, though, about the idea, but it's like I'm also excited about the idea of just spending your damn money and making sure JP's here, because with all that's going on, are you telling me you really want to leave a question mark? Linebacker, okay. You do it to me every year. Left tackle, man, that's not something I've worried about. Sure. Do I know a false start penalty's coming every week? You're damn right I do. But it's fine because he's an elite left tackle. But when we drafted Andre Dillard, it was under the impression that, okay, you've got a year to learn. And I'm not saying a year before you're cut or something, he's a first-round pick, but that's the damn expectation. Some people, you better be starting now. Look, I understood his struggles over at right tackle. Never played there. I definitely did, man. And I think I'm definitely a lot less hard on him than a lot of people are. I do have faith in the kid. I have not lost faith. I'm not saying you got to bring JP in because this kid sucks. No, I'm saying be smart. You don't want to back up your left tackle. I mean, maybe Jordan Mailata has turned into something I just don't know about. But God forbid, even if Dillard would get hurt or somebody gets hurt, you got to have a backup plan, man. So I think that's a no-brainer for me. That's one of the things, we've got a couple guys that are still free agents out there that, Bradham, you talk about him. It was a nostalgia kind of thing for us. Love having him. Same with Jenkins. Now, Jenkins, I don't know about that one because the guy plays all of your snaps for the last couple of years. And okay, whatever. But that's why you get three different guys to try to fill that void. So I'm trying to be positive here. I'm trying not to lose my mind when I think about these things that definitely pissed me off. And it definitely pissed me off at the time. I try to be more of an optimist and just hope that these younger guys, especially when you have a guy like Kayvon Wallace, man, what if he does turn out to be that Dawkins Jr.? I have hopes, and I understand Dawkins said, like, don't put that on him, but, man, we're going to. He's from Clemson. He was roommates with your son, so it is what it is. Barbed wire around it. Yeah, man, you got to protect your house. That's right, Prism. So I think Dillard's going to have a tough test, man. Thanks for the good question, man. Dean, I would have to say that last linebacker to make the Pro was Trotter. Yeah, man. I don't know if D'Amico ever made it, but he was decent. But yeah, man, we were losing that. D'Amico was like, what do they call him? Mufasa and what was it, like Michael Kendricks or somebody, Simba, or we were trying to hope, or Hicks, I believe it was actually. We were hoping, we're like, hey, I thought Hicks maybe. We were like, okay, I remember being like, what the, when we drafted him, but yeah, he turned out all right. But yeah, Trotter, dude. Trotter, the X-Men. I love the X-Men. One of my favorite players growing up. I'm a Dawkins, McNabb era Eagle. I watched Cunningham, all them growing up, but that's fresh in my memory, the stuff I remember, dude. So Trotter was one of my dudes. I got to meet him when I was a little kid, and I don't think I've ever been as shocked. That man's arms were bigger than me. He walked up. My brother was yelling, like, X-Men, and they were done signing, and my brother had his jersey. He came over and signed his jersey, and he was like, this is my brother Jimmy. So he like shook man. It was ridiculous. Like, I was just a little guy, but it was so cool. I've always loved him, man. He is the man. After that, he's still, every time I see that jersey in my brother's house, it's framed and hung up. Like, oh man, I have mad love for that man. And Dawkins, dude, those are my guys. So definitely, it's been rough. Linebacker, we've seen it. We tried a couple times though, kind of Hicks. Like real weird, curveball guys, and they injuries, man. Like what? Killed us. We switched up the medical staff though too, so that's some positive stuff to look at. We changed like the head trainer, the medicine guy, like all of them, dude, and it was nuts. I can't think of their names off the top of my head right now, but they switched it up everywhere. Everywhere there was a problem. We talked, last year, one of my things was Mike Groh, Carson Walsh. Everybody was, Arthega Whiteside, worst receiver ever. And it was just like, man, he's a rookie being thrown in the fire. I thought a lot of things needed to be looked at when you put things into context. And I hate saying that word so much, but it's like, I feel like people fail to do that a lot. And it's like, if you look at what's going on around, there can be some finger pointing, but you need to point it in the right direction. And I was on their ass, and people were like, you can't. And it's like, I'm telling you, these guys are ass clowns, and they don't know what's going on. And sure enough, these guys get fired. And those were the two people I was headhunting all year, man, all year. And now they're gone. And we've made some coaching changes. You bring in Rich Scangarella, who's like the senior offensive analyst now. You brought in Marty Morningweg. You brought in guys that are going to bring offensive minds to help out Doug. He just finally kept it real. It was like, look, this is my offense. I'm the offensive coordinator, so we're not even signing one. It is what it is. But you saw guys moving around, too. You saw Aaron Moorhead was brought in then for wide receivers coach. Love that move. I think he's really going to help. I think Matthew Harper being brought up through the ranks as an assistant wide receiver coach. I think that's going to be a wonderful move, too. I think these wide receivers are definitely going to learn, and they're going to have better receivers around them. It's going to be a much better core. Hopefully everybody stays healthy. We've got 14 guys that are competing now. That excites me because we did not have that at all last year. I literally just every week it was like, oh, Rob Davis. Okay. And you get your people because I run an Eagles, so on the road to victory. So I've been doing this last few years and people just, oh my God. So we're dealing with like the people coming off and on practice squad. You're bringing in Rob Davis, Deontay Burnett. People are like, who, what? And you're just like, son of a, I posted their height, their weight, their hometown. It's like, that's who I've told you, but it's like, I get it. I feel it. But it's frustrating to me just as much as it is anyone else. It's like, yeah, man, I know. Ooh. So we're bringing in all these guys, man. And it's like, we just need to stay healthy. So we made changes to the medical staff. You can't be mad about that either, right? So they went out and they made moves where it counted. And, even undrafted free agents, you can always find gems there. And we've, last week we talked about most of them. And, I don't know if I missed any, but there's some guys that could step it up. Julian Good-Jones, a guy that's played all across the offensive line. Maybe he's somebody that comes in and steps it up. You never know. But Michael Warren is somebody I've been talking about a lot, and I really like. Bruiser back. I'd like to see him compete with Elijah Holyfield and Corey Clement, see who gets that back. Maybe we bring in a Freeman and McCoy. I don't know. See there, we talked about that last week. Eagles ever consider taking slower safeties in a draft? We just did that with Nate Gary, actually, Prism. Yeah, and you see that a lot in the NFL now. You see guys converting from safety to linebacker, and not necessarily a bad idea. Mark Barron, somebody I talked about earlier in the video, maybe you bring in someone like that who has that coverage ability, Deron Lee. Maybe we see that. But, yeah, good question. The Eagles are definitely a team that likes to look at people like that. If you look at Will Parks, if you look at Jalen Mills, if you look at Kayvon Wallace, all these guys are going to be used in that role per se. Sub packages we talk about, it's going to come down to schemes, matchups. Who are we playing? Who's the guy they're going up against? And that's how Jim rolls, man. Whoever we're playing, it's going to be different every week. Now he's got toys to play with, and it's going to be fun to see because you've got multiple safeties that can do things like play a linebacker. You can play the joker. You can play nickel corner. You can play all over the place where guys are doing stuff. Matt Leo is another guy. He was an exempt player. He's somebody that he's going to be essentially redshirted. So he's a big dude, like 6'7" or something, I think he was. We added some intriguing pieces. Dante Olson was another undrafted free agent. He's a tackling machine. Guy played with a cast all last year, just wrecking people. So there's guys out there. We did bring in a corner, Michael Jacket. Don't think there's going to be much there, but he's a taller guy. Maybe he does. There's that Graylin Arnold and Elijah Riley were the other ones. They were guys that played corner, could play corner or safety for us. They're going to be bodies in camp. Maybe one of them steps up. You never know. But we brought in undrafted guys, and diamonds in the rough, man. I'm all about it. And it seems that, we've been pretty good at that lately. And I'd love to see, Michael Warren be one of those guys. I think that he could really push Elijah Holyfield. And, that's a scary thing. We talked about last week. One of the questions was Devontae Freeman. I think, when you look at the running back core right now, it's like, the way the Eagles run and the way that this offense is going to be opened up with deep receivers, the tight ends, all that, it's going to really open things up for Miles Sanders. Boston Scott come in and spell some things. Maybe you need a short yardage back. Maybe Michael Warren or Elijah Holyfield's coming in, Clement pounding the box. How goes it, Gongos? Nice to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in. Just talking some football, man. Talking some birds, but we can always talk about whatever you like. That's what I'm here for. For your questions and comments. We'll definitely, times are tough right now. We'll definitely try to keep doing things, adding guests as much as I can, doing what I can, bringing in guys from HUD. I haven't even really got to meet anybody. I'd love to have some of those guys on here. So you guys don't just have to deal with me. But I love that you guys tune in, hit me up with your questions and comments, all that stuff. Like last week, that was nuts. The next day I looked at it, it was like 3.5 thousand people watched it. And I can't thank you enough because I've never even had close to that. So it's awesome. That's what I just want to be here. And I, just like you guys, I wanted a place to go to talk about football with people that actually cared and wanted to talk about football and not just there's so many trolls and clickbait. There's so much. It's just too much. And, a few years ago I had enough. So I started this, and that's what I'm here for. So thank you guys for tuning in always, like seriously. And to be a part of the A2D family now, truly my honor. To be asked to go on earlier today, I got to talk to an ex-NFL player and MMA guy, so it was pretty sweet. Can't say no to that. I definitely fit it into my schedule. It was cool. But me and Tom and Steve were talking earlier, and it's like, this is what this is all about, the people. That's what we're here for. And if we can bring you players, if we can bring you any kind of knowledge, anything I can do, I definitely will. Players, I reach out all the time. I do. And sometimes it just doesn't work out, but it is what it is, man. And now I'm part of these guys, and they have their own methods and their own things, and I'm not going to step on that. So we'll see what happens there. But if you guys keep tuning in, I'll keep being here, and I'll answer anything you want. That's what I'm here for, dude. And I've been doing it for years. I just love talking football, dude. I almost died. So I was literally on my deathbed. And then I had to recuperate for like a year. An inguinal hernia the size of a effing cantaloupe attached to my John Denver's. So imagine that. who was the former NFL guy you guys were talking to? Pisa Tianasoma, I want to say is how you say it. Tino Mwasa, because he said there's no like bump in that, but dude was awesome. And when he was talking, then Chris Lieben stepped on. Off next Friday, I'll jump. Sweet, Brian. Consider it done. We got Brian for the show next week. Pumped about that. But yeah, Chris Lieben was on then, and I don't know, there was like something that happened earlier, so we had to wait a little before we went on, but then they were kind of overlapping, so we brought them together. And unfortunately, when you use a cell phone on this thing, it makes out like popcorn, like pop, pop, pop. And I actually made that mistake because Mark McMillan was on his phone when I did one of my interviews. You learn the hard way, but the one guy, Chris, was using his phone and he didn't know. Hey, stuff happens, but it was great. They both were talking, about CTE, things that both of them, had dealt with and big impacts in their life. So, dude, it was awesome. And like, I went to say something a couple times and Pisa like say something at the same time, so I just shut up. Like, that's what you guys want. You want to hear from the fans. Like, dude, and it was really cool to hear him like asking Chris questions. He was very intrigued to, reach out to him and, like, what's your thoughts on this and that? And dude, watch it if you can. HUD Radio, it's there. These guys have all kinds of awesome shows. Be real with you, I've been extremely busy last week and things have been crazy. And this Corona is about to end. Life's about to get crazy for most of us. Hope everyone stays safe. But I haven't even really got to check out many of the shows, meet these people, but we're just going to keep it going and keep building on this, and this family's awesome. This is, what I had in mind. But, my thing was, like I said, I was dying. And what gets me through? Eagles, baby. So I started in my group and it was like, whatever. I really didn't know much about social media, but I knew what I had seen being said. I was like, I can't do this. People are driving me nuts. But what a perfect concept. Agree to disagree, bring people on. And I love that, not even just Eagles fans watch. I'm not somebody that just be like, yeah, your team sucks and that's that. Like, you want to talk about stuff, we're going to talk about it, because I'm not somebody that, doesn't see that Cowboys definitely have a stacked team, and that the Redskins improved and have a good D. Giants got a little better, but they still suck. But I think the Eagles are the most improved. That's my honest opinion. I'll always give that. It was funny. My first year doing this, it just happened to be 2017, and people were like, "Yeah, you're just being a homer," because I was trying to explain that Nick Foles would, be the perfect backup. And then, unfortunately, we had to find out the hard way. And you should have seen people and you know how people are, man. They get rowdy, and it was just like, look, man, I almost just died. I'm trying to be positive, believe in my damn team, and I believe Nick Foles can win the Super Bowl. And, people were getting wild. But don't worry. I screenshotted all of them. February 4th. Let them all know. So it was a beautiful, magical day. We all waited our whole lives for, and those of you who didn't, if you've got one, well, lucky you too. But the Eagles are prime and in a position, I think, to grow with some of these younger guys. They said they were going to let nostalgia go. I think they did that, man. And I think it wasn't on terms where the fans wanted it. We got to get this guy and that. And it's like they went slow and steady, baby. And that's what wins the race. We don't need to win free agency in the draft. Oh, yeah. And that's what's cool. Lieben, I was like, wait, Chris Lieben. I'm like, the guy from the old show from when I was a kid. And it's like, yeah. And then it's like, oh, my God. Like, he started off, remember, like undefeated, like 5 fights in a row or something like that it was. And, dealt with some injuries and stuff. And he talked about it in the video. So it was really cool. But that dude was a nut, dude. And then he was doing we didn't even talk about this, but he does like bare knuckle boxing he was doing. But love, we talked about it. We're going to try to get those guys back on for you guys because that was awesome. But unfortunately, some of the audio got messed up with Chris, but we'd love to hear what he has to say. Pisa should have his own show. I mean, like, seriously. Well, Gongos, you weren't alone in thinking that our season was over when Wentz went down. I called into Mike Missinelli, and I told him, I was like, look, man, it's all right if you don't believe, but there are some people going out of the way. The Eagles suck. There's no chance. And that's what I was hearing. I never call in. I don't even listen to that. I went to visit my brother, and I was going to the game, the Eagles-Falcons. And this was literally like right after surgery. And they're like, you cannot be outside. You cannot. I'm like, I definitely won't be. I wore like 8 layers. Like, I should have not. I couldn't even like stand. I was like, you should see me though. I was louder than anybody. Like, I don't care if I'm dying. I'm going out swinging, dude.
So I called him before the game and I explained to him, well, there's some of us that have broken it down. And I said, last couple of weeks, sure, Nick, knocking off some rust, but I don't know if Doug necessarily is coming out with all the plays. I don't know if Jim's playing the defense like he wants, because when you're in a position like you were in to, have home field advantage, I think we flew under the radar, man, and people slept on us, and that really, really helped. So I'm not knocking people that didn't believe, but I'm telling you that what I was getting pissed off was, because first off, dude, I almost just died. I was a little wild, but I was trying to just be positive. And I couldn't take people who are just like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, I'm not trying to fight you. I'm trying to give you context. I don't ever sit here and talk out of my ass. If you think I'm wrong, cool. Agree to disagree, man. But, if I'm literally telling you something and you're telling me some off the wall shit, I ain't doing it, man. I can't. I won't. I'm here to talk football. And if it's any kind of educated, I don't care who you are. You Cowboys, Patriots, dude, if you want to talk football, hell yeah, we're going to talk football, baby. Because I love that, man. All my friends, I've got friends that are different football fans, you know what I mean? So it's we sit there and bust balls. We can have fun, but it's I'm always trying to give them my opinion. We'll do some fancy stuff when football comes back. I always try to give my opinion. Finally got my damn trophy back last year after a couple years without it. We'll talk about that. But, love fantasy football. I love football. I love Eagles football. I just love it, man. I wish I could still play. I'm an old man now. I don't think I'd ever been good enough to actually ever play anything. So one of those things where it's there's something I always talked about. Even as I played, I wanted to learn every aspect of it. And I loved Madden too when I was younger. So you get to learn a lot as a kid, but then when you get to actually put it on the field and show how much you know, it was different. And I was lucky. I had a dad and brother that were, diehards. And they took me to games and all kinds of stuff. I got to learn a class from Troy Vincent as a kid on defense. That really helped me as a cornerback and wide receiver, both understanding defenses and stuff like that. It was phenomenal, dude. So, yeah, I'm diehard, though, through and through, man. So you guys have come to the right place. And I'll always be grateful to Tom for this. When he reached out a couple of weeks ago, I was just like, oh, hell yeah. Because, there was one kid that was a part of this group. I don't call out names and stuff, but when I first started doing my thing, he was just straight yanking my style and my stuff. I was like, all right, dude. And me and Tom had talked, and Tom was really cool and really had my back, helped me with a lot of stuff. And I don't know what happened. We kind of just fell off, and I've been doing my own thing. But he finally reached out. I was like, hey, man, I don't know. It was just that kid's gone. This is where we're at. And I was like, no, I've seen your stuff. And it's not like we didn't follow each other or there was any kind of beef or anything. But it was just yeah, I've been doing my own thing. I want to check this out. And I've been checking this out and been loving what I've seen so far. And I really can't wait to, be a part of more. And, just being there earlier today was awesome. So stuff like that, I can't wait, man. And having the show, it's oh, Fridays at 7. I have a show. What the? Who wants me to have a show? You guys are really watching me. All right, dude, whatever. But Tom's yo, that's that, man. You've been doing this for a few years, and he's been watching. He's and I saw you with Mark McMillan, and it's I'm just trying to build, man. And this is a place for the Eagles fans, And I go, my brother has season tickets. I am way too poor for that. Still on the list, and when it happens, I will make sure it happens. But I get to go to games and do things, and I try to do stuff for fans. Try to get got to take a couple people to games, to certain events, and just try to do what I can. And I want to just spread that love, man, brotherly love. And Eagles fans get a bad rep, and I don't think and I see a lot of the reporters. I see a lot of the stuff out there, and it's oh, hell no. And that's why I started doing this in the beginning. And then I saw that last comment there, man. Fantasy league, I'm down. Praise only cheers for fantasy teams. I had a couple guys like that in my last job, and it was funny. They're just oh, what game? And we always had pull. I play everything I possibly can, all the pick'ems, everything, So I was actually trying to push that stuff on people. Let's just go ahead and you guys play it this year. But I always try to coax people into playing football until they figure it out. And they're oh, this guy's an asshole. And it's I'm just, hey, doing my thing. But I love fantasy. If they start a fantasy league, I'm all for it. I did a On the Road to Victory fantasy league. That was awesome. I got to go last year. My brother being a season ticket holder, you could sign up to have your draft at the link. Dude. Bring your own fun times. Have a good time. That's all I'll say. I got to go to the link, and it was like a buffet for Howie Roseman and the guys. Like, it was literally like cheesesteaks, meatballs, cold cuts, vegetable tray, everything, nacho, everything bad for me with my health. And I was just like, this is going to be a very amazing time. And I ate so much food, and I think that's what they were trying to do. They were kind of get me all drifted out and tired, and I was. But they just want to take advantage of me. But that was a crazy draft. That's what I got picked 9. Took Dalvin Cook, and everybody's like, what a stupid pick. David Johnson was the guy that was available. I was like, we'll see how this year goes, and we'll take it from there. It was like, yeah. I mean, and that's hard to tell. Guy coming back from injury, but Dalvin Cook, whoo. That's where the question of Justin Jefferson, when you come back to, is he going to have a big impact? Sure, he'll take over for Stephon Diggs, play a lot of slot, but he'll have Adam Thielen there. You have Dalvin Cook there. They like to run the ball a lot. We'll see. I think that's a great poll question, though. So that's why I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but it was something I thought that, would intrigue you guys, because look at all the young kids that were out there. Some of you guys named them. I don't know if one of the names I remember reading earlier was Chase Claypool. I was thinking of Pittsburgh. He could definitely come in, because they have a couple guys, Deontay Johnson, that were under the radar. I think that I read that were like hurt last year. I think, they could definitely give us a problem. It's going to be a challenge. TJ Watt and Bud Dupree both had over like 10 sacks. So that's going to be intense. 11th year. That's awesome, man. I've never played Dynasty. I've been playing since like 2006, I think, is what we've been doing. So that's like 14 years. My brother, I've been running it. I remember when he coaxed me into it. And the first year, whatever year was the year that LT had the record. He ran like 29 touchdowns, 28, had like 30 whatever to overall. I remember the one week he literally threw a touchdown, ran a touchdown, and caught a touchdown. And I took him with the second pick, and it was like Larry Johnson, him, and I remember my brother trying to bust on me for that. And that was the first year I won. And then I didn't win for like, oh my God. I seriously, I want to say like 7 years, 8 years. And then I won a couple years. I was like, yeah. And then I once again went on a dry spell forever. So it was just like, no. I actually didn't win that league last year. I usually just try to play 1, but I played 2. And I'm more of the people, it's not that I can't handle it. It's just, first off, I have enough taking up my time. But I like to predicate myself on, I only do 1 mock draft a year. So it's like, I'm only going to do 1 fantasy team. Like, I want to see how good I do. But I got coaxed in to doing another one last year. And that was awesome to beat the people I did. That was very enjoyable. So I was pumped about finally winning a championship. But I got to beat winning my brother's league, because that's the one that, dude, it was awesome. But I'm telling you, that draft, dude, I had him, I had Cook, I had Mahomes, and then, of course, Mahomes got hurt for a stretch there, and I luckily picked up Tannehill at one point and used him, and he actually worked out. But it was just like last year, man. I'm not using excuses, but the same with the Eagles. I'm just putting in contacts. Injuries. Not a friend of mine. I seriously, man, like, and like every guy that gets hurt, like, we're just going to be like, mother, here it is, here we go, punching through walls, because I just can't, man. And like, I literally get so, you guys know, man. And I always joke as I was younger, like, I'm gonna have a heart attack. Now I'm 34. I almost died already. So now I'm like, no, seriously. And they're like, watching stressful things is bad for you. I'm like, well, I definitely will be dying watching the Eagles. I'm okay with that. 9 years, Dynasty League. We draft every year. That's cool, man. I'm intrigued by those leagues that are like keeper leagues and stuff like that. Like, because I love looking at people that, like, okay, he's probably going to be good in a year or two. And I see now my brother's league, we play with defensive players. You have to start a defensive lineman, a defensive back, and then any defensive player, usually a linebacker, because they get a lot of points with tackles and stuff. You can be whatever you want. But I always look for, as a defensive back, looking for someone like Jamal Agnew. And then Matthew, like a couple years ago, you always look for guys that who's the damn guy I had last year? I feel like there's somebody I'm missing. Whoever it was, there was a special teamer that I thought was going to ball off. Oh, freaking Chargers corner. Why the hell? I can't think of his name. whatever. But no, literally, like that league's awesome because you have it's still with all the offensive players and the defense, but then you have the defensive players, and that makes it very intriguing because sometimes you're like you get carried away with names on defensive line or something. You're like, oh, okay, this guy, yeah. Mm-hmm. And you play him, and you're like, oh. And even if you just had one sack, you're like, oh, or 2 sacks, and you're like, oh, you got a couple. And then there's another guy that had like 8 tackles, and you're like, oh, wait. So you got to look at that kind of stuff. And I love that, man. I love breaking everything down as much as I can. So I'm all about it, dude. I can't get enough, and I cannot wait for fantasy football. It's kind of weird right now to even, like, I don't know, because rosters aren't even finished right now, man. There's still some pretty nice names out there, so it's going to be intriguing, especially playing in a league like my brother's where it's like so many defensive players and so many just off the wall just people. But one of the names, actually, speaking of Chargers, one of the people I didn't get to talk about last week was Jatavis Brown. That's another person we added to the linebacker room. Gives you depth. I don't know if he's going to push for a starting job, but he could, just like the other guys. And it's like Alex Singleton looked like he was stepping it up last year. Maybe he steps it up. Duke Riley looked great on special teams, but I don't know if he's going to actually do good at linebacker. So it's up in the air, man. Up in the air. Just made me think of that. But, when it comes out, we'll get back to, keep hitting the questions. I don't care. But when you look at, we'd already really talked about, when it comes to free agency, we predominantly went after the corner position or the defensive position, and the corner position, I understand a lot of people still question, and that's very questionable. But we made one of the most important decisions that we talked about. Who's the best addition? In my mind, it really Darius Slay is somebody I feel has been literally just, I don't understand at all how people don't see what I feel that I see in him, but he's just so underappreciated what he has done for the Detroit Lions. Terrible team. I understand they've had okay defenses at times, but this guy has held it down, and we have ourselves a true number one corner, and he's going to make the other corners better. He's going to teach them, and in turn make the wide receivers better. It's all going to be better. So I'm excited, but I think Darius Slay is going to have such a huge impact. I think he could come in. You already see him doing things to help out. He's working out with Brandon Graham. He's actually going out and helping kids too. You saw the other day, he's doing things like he's trying to do what he can already, just showing what kind of person he is on and off the field. I know what he is on the field. They call him Big Play Slay for a reason. I cannot wait to see what this defense looks like. And I understand some question marks. So it was very questionable why we didn't, nab a corner. A lot of people wanted to know, but honestly, Sidney Jones, if he could just live up to his potential, if he could just be what we drafted him to be, we would be pretty fine. I think that he was going to be a top 15 pick. I mean, the kid was phenomenal coming out of Washington, and then he gets the ACL injury, and obviously he drops to us in the second round. But I thought, man, we could finally have a number one corner. I really was so excited. And I understand, maybe he was rushed that first year, and then maybe, injuries. We are sick and tired of hearing it. I get it. But at the end of last year, I thought he did really well. And if he could just get back to that form, dude, could you imagine him turning into an elite corner with Darius Slay, and then having all those pieces? We talked about people sleeping on Nickel Roby-Coleman. I'm telling you, I feel this kid is going to be a great addition too. Yeah. Oh yeah. And Slay is. And that's why I wanted to kind of break it down though. And then that's right there. And Hargrave's a beast too. Because like I said, and we'll talk about it however, but in the end it's Darius Slay for me. But when you look, because if you look at the impact he has on everyone else, I think Rieger's going to have a great impact over time, but he's not going to necessarily step out and be that guy. So it kind of coincides with the poll question. Is he going to have that best rookie season? I don't really feel so. I think I disagree with that because I think it's going to be very everybody's going to eat. We're going to spread the ball around, and I'm excited. But Darius Slay, the impact he's going to have on this defense, when you lose a guy like Malcolm Jenkins, a leader. Now, we have guys like Brandon Graham. We have Jalen Mills, who are going to have to step it up and be leaders like they have been, and Fletcher Cox. We have guys. It's going to take a group effort, though. So, but when you bring in a guy like Darius Slay, he helps you not only there in the locker room, but on the field, man. We talk about getting the 4-man rush, the most important thing. And then it makes it easier for your linebackers and your secondary that have struggled so much lately the last couple of years. So now you kind of shore up that number one receiver talk where, a guy like Amari Cooper, what's he have? For the guy that was talking about the Cowboys, he has like a 33%, catch rating, or something like catch rating against Darius Slay. I don't think he's like 21 yards per game against him. Don't quote me, but I think that is right. But yeah, we got somebody that locks down a divisional opponent. But then you look at the guys he's going to be going against. Is he taking on Hollywood Brown, Scary Terry? He said, he was like, I slept on the kid a little bit. I didn't maybe do as much homework as I should have because wow. And, he's going to have to now. I've seen him twice a year. But on the flip side, I can't wait for Rieger to dust Darby twice a year. God, am I so glad we don't have to see that. And I was pumped when we got Darby because I was like, okay, maybe we got, a guy in the Pro Bowl corner. So questions obviously still there. But if you look at Nickel Roby-Coleman, man, I'm excited. And like I keep saying, Nickel Roby-Coleman right there, it's going to allow LeBlanc and Maddox, and the same for Nickel Roby-Coleman. They'll all move around. But it's like the same behind them. Safeties, you got Roddy McLeod, free safeties. I love that. Brought him back. But, the 3 guys we talked about, Wallace, Parks, and Mills, they're going to have to hold it down and they'll be moving around. And that's going to maybe help those question marks at linebacker that we have. Does Nate Gary and Davian Taylor step it up? And because they look like, if you're playing Madden or something, I feel like buying Madden just so I can see what these guys' ratings are and what they're looking at is how I see it. But, those are guys that, are of the build that I think, they could be those guys. I don't know. And I love TJ Edwards because, he is dominated against the run. And I love that. You got it. When you're in a division with Ezekiel Elliott and Saquon Barkley, and then, if Darius Geis stays healthy, you got a tough division. And then Redskins got that Antonio Gibson. That's going to be intriguing. So you got to be able to tackle. You got, but the linebackers, that's the biggest question mark to me. I understand the cornerback 2 talk. I understand the safety. And the safety, it's very questionable because you just lost Malcolm Jenkins. Yeah, that'll definitely throw a curveball in your plans. So, I think, that Malcolm Jenkins is a very big loss. And you can't just be like, oh, yeah, it'll be perfectly fine now. Like, yeah, you better worry about it. But, hey, like I said, I think this is going to give us – and, it kind of sucks. I think Malcolm Jenkins would have really thrived in this defense. That sucks. But, it is what it is now. But this is what Jim has been waiting for. But injuries have just been weighing on us, man. We talk about the cornerback carousal. Like 13 different starters. Like what? The other year. You remember that? Like, and then you lose the Saints. Like, it was just rough. But we found guys like LeBlanc. We found diamonds in the rough. Last year we had guys like Craig James sticking around. It's who knows, but we'd like that to be, a position where we figured out because the receivers got better in the division. We've got some tough matchups, but you also look at, some of the tight ends and the running backs. And we talk about those running backs that are tough running backs, but they're great out of the backfield as well, catching the ball. So you got to have linebackers that can keep up with them. You got to have safeties that can match up with these guys. So I think the Eagles did the right thing, the way they went about things. And, for all those people that were losing their mind, like I literally got a comment right after first day of free agency. We didn't get like Byron Jones. Somebody was like, that's it. We're done. We ain't winning no Super Bowl. I was like, please don't start that already. Like, that's just trolling for something. But it's like, come on. Have patience. We're going to make some moves. We're going to do some things, and then you add a Hargrave. We added, under the radar depth pieces. You get Jatavis Brown. Then you trade for Darius Slay. We talked about that. That's the best addition. I mean, hands down. Guy's an all-pro. He's going to be top-notch for us. I can't wait to see it. I can't. He should be recognized, and I think he will be an all-pro cornerback for us. I really think he's going to show people what he, when you go to Detroit, that's rough, man. And not trying to knock on Detroit, but they're just not that good. And I think here, we're going to improve, and maybe we add an edge rusher. Maybe we get an Everson Griffin. Maybe we add a Jamal Sheard. But when you look at what we already have, we talked about Derek Barnett having his 5th-year exercise, so he's going to have to prove some things. Let's see what he does. We all love Brandon Graham, but you got Avery. We traded for him. We got Sweat. Let's see what, we got here. Wentz the next Romo. No. Actually, Wentz has stayed pretty healthy, and he was healthy all of last year before he got cheap shotted in a playoff game. But 2 out of 4 regular seasons, not bad. I think he was rushed back the year before that. I think that was definitely a bad decision on our part. Could just rode with Nick at the time. But hey, that's in the past. It is what it is. I'm excited. I think, one of the things I talked about last year is this finally going to be the year that, Carson Wentz is recognized as elite, where people are going to finally be like, son of, because they already know, they saw what he did when having, no receivers over 500 yards. When you have a guy throw for over 4,000 yards like that, phenomenal, and the guys he had, it was just like, oh. And then you have people who are like, oh, they had good tight ends and running backs. Like, well, yeah, the defense knows that too, man. They just key on them, and then we got to throw those terrible receivers, and then you saw our struggles last year. So, no, I think Carson Wentz is finally going to have that year where he's put in the categories where people are like, son of a, I'm going to go after him in fantasy. I'll tell you that right now. I definitely will tell you that. He's going to have a phenomenal year. Him and Mahomes, it's going to be of the same mold. The guy can do it all. And yeah, I'm excited to see him with weapons. Ooh, lots of speed. You talk about the speed, Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, that'll be a good one, man. I think he's going to fit well in the Chiefs system. That guy could definitely be one of the top rookie running back. But, when it comes to rookie wide receivers, I think Reagor, I don't even think he could be up there. But when it comes to all around, I think you're right. He could have one of the top years. And they got Damian Williams, and they've got other pieces. They spread the ball around, but kid has a great chance to do some things. But hey, a lot of teams like the Eagles and the Chiefs are adding that firepower that they want. So now that Carson Wentz, kind of the same mold, what Andy Reid has, Doug Peterson's trying to have. He added Reagor, and you add Goodwin, you add Hightower, you add Watkins. Then, you had your guys from last year. You had Burnett, Davis. We even brought Sheldon Gibson back. I'm like, oh, that's wonderful. Marcus Green, little guy from Falcons. Then you had the undrafted guys we brought in. Khalil Tate converted from quarterback to receiver now from Arizona. Then Manisha Bailey, the kid that was a linebacker. So you got some guys that are versatile too, that have learned multiple positions, like a Greg Ward. So they're going to push him. You see competition all across the board. So it's a position that we were struggling at, and somehow our quarterback kept us afloat and with no receivers. So that's more time you're spending in the pocket. That's more time you're on the run. How amazing is it that, he made it 16 games, injuries to the line everywhere, man. It was horrible. It was horrible. Your defense also injured. So you're on the field more, doing more. So it was, when you put things into context, you see how phenomenal he really was. People talk about like, oh, yeah, Hurts is here because he's going to start replacing him in the red zone, and this is the plan. It's like, what? No, that's not the plan. Like last year he threw like 21 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. Like, huh? You don't take a guy like that, and I think in his career it's like 72 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Like, what? In the red zone, you're not going to take him out. He's got guys like Ertz and Goddard, and now, hopefully Jeffrey stays healthy. Maybe Hightower and Watkins, both over 6 foot. Maybe they can come into a role where they go up and get it. We'll see, man. But I'm excited because we actually have weapons for him. So now we get to see what Carson Wentz looks like with weapons. So to see him beat teams without those weapons last year I was pretty stoked, man. I thought we had a really good year for. Now, am I happy? No, I really do not think that anyone would be excited about losing and having to deal with injuries over and over and over again. So, I mean, people I understand want to troll and act like, but I'm a realist, man. Like, I'm going to give it to people real. Like, if you look at the numbers, if you look at what happened, like Carson Wentz is very phenomenal. I understand people's fear, and I get it because everybody's about to be put on notice this year. I really feel that, he's going to have weapons and he's going to utilize them very well. And we're going to have a run game. That's one of the things I couldn't stress enough. And, you let someone like Jordan Howard walk. I don't know what they offered him, whatever there, but, we got more money in Miami, and he wasn't going to get that here, so it is what it is. He's a Dolphin, but you got guys like Michael Warren and Elijah Holyfield. But in the end, we love running QB sneaks with Carson Wentz. But maybe there's more ideas because you bring in guys like we talked about earlier, Scandrello, Morningweg. You're going to see a little bit different of an offense, maybe more cojones, Doug. So like see running the ball be one of the most important things because we need to establish the run before you do your little RPOs and play action and all your fun stuff. So, yeah. Aaron Rodgers in Cleveland. Oh, I don't know. That's intriguing. That's something that is not out of the realm of possibility. If Baker Mayfield doesn't pan out, and that's something where he falls off, and they've got weapons like they do, and they're building a contender like they're trying to do, and Aaron Rodgers sees them draft someone like Jordan Love on the Packers, maybe he wants out, and maybe he does do that. Go to from one very great franchise, historic franchise like the Packers to the Browns. So hey. I don't ever leave anything out. Sorry I missed that last comment. But, you can never leave anything out. I forget Howard Sanders is going to rule this year. Oh, yeah, dude. George, I couldn't agree more. I made a thing a couple weeks ago all on it, just about the fact that I think he's going to be one of the top running backs. Not like, second-year guy. Like, no, just in the category he's going to be. Just like he was overshadowed at Penn State, he had Saquon Barkley in front of him. He got a year to shine, and he did. And then he came to the NFL, and I've been excited. Was very excited for him last year. Started off, and clearly he was a rookie. He had things to work on, but I thought he did well, and then he did great at the end, and I think he's going to do phenomenal. And now that we have other weapons, it's not just going to rely on him. So I think that kid's going to feast, but God forbid anything happen, George. Let's keep it real. We're Philadelphia Eagles fans. We know what happens. People get hurt. So if something happens, who do we have behind Miles Sanders? So, yeah, I'm all for forget Howard. I'm not harping on that, but, I can't wait, man. I really can't. So I don't want to get ahead of myself and be like, hey, we need Devontae Freeman because I really don't even care. Or McCoy. I would rather take someone like a Buck Allen, good in pass protection, running the ball, can catch the ball. Talked about that a few times. I think that'd be more money well spent rather than a guy that thinks he's a featured back still that isn't coming here for a handful of snaps and, spell some of these guys. But I'm really intrigued just to see our players actually play so I can gauge some things, because it's hard to tell. But Michael Warren, he was brought in, like I said, from Cincinnati, like 5'10", 225, little bruiser. I think, he's going to push Holyfield. We traded for Holyfield last year from the Panthers. Haven't seen much, but hopefully he gets an offseason in. Bucks, the best team in the NFC. I think they're the most. No, I don't think that they're the best team in the NFC. I think there's definitely some competition up there with them. Sure, they got Tom Brady. I'm intrigued to see what Tom Brady does in that system because he's going to have free reign. And Arians knows what he does well, so they're going to fit that. He's got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Gronk, the damn tight end, O.J. Howard. They've got weapons, so it's going to be intriguing. Not sure how well the run game is going to be. The defense, definitely not one of the better, but not one of the worst. They got Shaquille Barrett. They've definitely got some talent there. But I don't think they're the best team in the NFC just because they got Tom Brady. You're definitely going to have to do a lot more than that. Trust me, the Eagles have been victim to winning free agency. Doesn't mean a damn thing. We all saw what Tom Brady looked like, and Bill Belichick's a great coach, so he worked around that, coached around that. Tom's skill set where it's at now. I'm not saying Tom Brady's not still one of the best quarterbacks, and I'm not saying the Buccaneers aren't going to kick some ass because they're definitely going to be a lot better. But there's definitely some teams that I think will give them a run for their money. You still got your Niners, you got your Packers. The Eagles will be up there, the Cowboys will be up there fighting. You have a lot of good teams. Vikings will be in there. You've got Seahawks. You have so many good teams in the NFC now. Things have definitely changed. So I'm excited to see, this season, dude. The Rams, I think they've kind of fallen off too. We got them, like week 2, I believe. And, that's going to be an interesting game. I'm excited, man. I'm so excited for this season. Like, I cannot stress. That's going to be an intriguing match. Aaron Donald, so if it is Dillard, that's going to be a tough matchup. But we all know Lane Johnson holds his own. So that's always what's up. You got to love having that right tackle, left tackle combo we've had for years. But you got to understand people's fear, like myself. And like I said, I like Dillard. I believe in Dillard, but I also believe in being smart. Those things can coincide. You can be like, hey, you know what? I believe in him, but I also want to have a backup plan, not just in case, he isn't your left tackle, because God forbid if you did that, dear Lord, that's not good. But if something were to happen with injury or something like that, you know what I mean? You better have a backup plan. And we talked about those guys that we have back there. It's like, are you really comfortable putting our $100 million quarterback back there with Mailata or Pryor or Tago Winogo back there blocking for him? Hey, maybe when we get to see these guys, we'll see. George is a big time Ram fan. Hey man, crazy. Todd Gurley getting up there in age though. Intrigued to see what Henderson got and your guys' draft pick. I'm intrigued to see what they look like this year. But I definitely think they've fallen off from where they were, which is crazy because you have one of the brightest minds in that young coach, and I can't. Sean Payton is, or not Sean Payton. Man, I can't think of names or shit tonight. It's been a long week. I'll be real with you. But yeah, Goff over Wentz. Oh my God. Let me be real with you, George. I sat here, well, not here actually, and I was praying to God that was why we traded for the second pick. I'm like, please. The Rams want the pretty boy. They're moving to LA. That's what they want. Please, please, please. So, yeah, I think Carson Wentz is a better quarterback. I'm not saying Goff's terrible, but they got a lot to prove. Jalen Ramsey needs to show he's still one of the most elite corners, and you still have Aaron Donald. So it's not like it's going to be any kind of easy task, but luckily it's at our house. It was cool to see. I had a group member that actually was stationed in LA and got to go to that game. Eagles taking over that year, man. Beautiful stuff. But hey, thanks for tuning in, George. And Rams got some great history, man. And just a couple years ago, you guys were, that's what's crazy about the NFL, man. Every year, like, you know what I mean? Like, well, you can be on top of, like, we know, Eagles fans know, we know we were on top of the world with scrubs. Like, literally in 2017, we lost everybody. Like, Peters was hurt, Sproles was hurt, Marigold was out, Carson Wentz, everybody. We're like, all right, next year, people are coming back healthy. We got this. Here we go. And then just injuries. Alshon came back too early. Carson came back. We all know how it went. But it just shows you how easily you can be knocked off. Now, the fact that the Eagles have been making the playoffs has been quite impressive, to be real with you. That drop pass by Alshon will haunt us. But let's be real. When Brandon Brooks went down, things got real rough. We didn't start doing it. Damn thing after that. We didn't do anything after that at all. And it showed. And then in the end, Alshon dropped it, sure, but it's a whole slew of things, and that was rough. But to see that team fight, remember, it was like, 7% chance the Eagles. I was telling people, kiss my ass down. I was like, we're making it. Bastards. And it is what it is. And then last year, it did what we had to do with nothing. Let's see whoever has the most Horned Frogs on the roster. TCU, huh? The Rams, but there's always a personal feeling to any team. Well, I grew up definitely a lot differently. My whole family's from Philly, and it was, just something kind of ingrained in my brain. I'm 4 for 4, always will be, and just how I am. And, when you're on your deathbed and, I had my family, thank God for that. But, I needed my Eagles. I need my Bears, man. That's what I love. And, for you guys to have your teams or your fancy or whatever, I'm not saying like knocking on you for not, but that was my thing. It was something I always had with my dad. When you were still here, it was something connection we always had. No matter where we were in life, we always had the Birds. And that's something I love about the group I started, and now being able to be a part of A2D and just growing that kind of mentality, like just the brotherly love spreading, and we don't just have to talk about, Eagles. This is, Tom brought me on. He's like, I want to have you on to talk Eagles for people on Friday night, but, you can talk about whatever. And when more sports come back, we can talk about whatever the hell you guys want. I'm just a diehard Eagles fan. And that's what, I want to someday be doing with this. And, like Tom says, it's takeover talk. So we're doing what we can, and I love being a part of this, and I'm just going to try to do my part. And, whenever Eagles players and people start getting back, and I'm sure Tom will let me know, and there's other shows in HED you guys can check out, and I need to check out myself. And we'll definitely have some more guests. But like next week, Brian said he would come on. Like, that's what's up. So I just want to bring people on, and I want to have conversation with you guys. I love that you comment, and it's different from what I'm used to. I actually got Ralphie producing here, who I just got to meet a minute before the video started. So it's cool. It's different. So I take them as they're coming. 10 miles from TCU, and I get that. That's what I love. And when I started my group, I was like, I'm 4 for 4, but I never was like, you have to be 4 for 4 to like my page. Like, it's like, I get it. Like, I've never been like that, but like some people, like my dad watched this or that, like whatever your reason is, man. If you love sports, you found the right place, man. Like, I don't judge. I don't care whatever reason. Like, some people are like, I like the color. I'm like, okay, that's a little ridiculous, but you know what, man? We're all different. So it's good in my book. Love talking sports. You don't hate any team. I'll tell you what, I hate the Dallas Cowboys. Who would I take number 1? McCaffrey. I had this conversation last year, and I told my coworker, man, I said, take McCaffrey. Don't be stupid. Don't do it, man. And he didn't do it. Went with Barkley. Dealt with injuries all last year. I'm intrigued this year to see how Teddy Bridgewater does there. A lot's going to flow through McCaffrey again. So, yeah, I'd probably go with McCaffrey pretty high myself. But a healthy Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones getting a little better. You question. That's a good one. A very good one. I think if I had to pick, I'll take McCaffrey just because I hate the Giants. And I love Saquon, man. I do. But I think McCaffrey is literally going to be the offense there. And no knock on Curtis Samuel or DJ Moore. Not saying Teddy Bridgewater can't get it done there. I just think you saw what he did, right? You saw what he did last year. So, I mean, I guess if Saquon's healthy, that's someone you can watch too. And same with Dalvin Cook, they got better. I think they added, sure, they lost Stephon Diggs, but they added the pieces where they lost out, So, easiest schedule last year. Well, you look at schedules and you want to say easy or hard, and sure, you have a pretty good idea of what these teams look like. But when it comes to that week, especially as someone who plays fantasy, you keep your eye on everything at all times. You know what I mean? You see how much things change from week to week, right? It's just like, you want to, because you're like, I had this guy primed for this week because I'm nuts. Okay. I sit here and I will, this guy this week. And then if I have this, but this guy, I'm that guy. And I go nuts about it, man. And then that guy's never healthy. And that plan completely fails. And it's completely pointless that I even drafted that guy. And I'm like, wait, I could have drafted that guy I wanted there. And don't overthink it. Listen to your heart. I hate the Giants, so it would be hard for me to cheer for the Giants every week, but you're damn right I'd take them if I had the chance, Saquon. But right now, gun to my head, yeah, give me McCaffrey. That's a tough one, man. It's a tough one. Saquon Barkley is such a talented running back, but he has to face us twice a year. So I'll give the advantage to McCaffrey. That right there. There you go. That's your tiebreaker. Oh, man. But there's definitely a lot of awesome stuff that's coming up when it comes to fantasy football and things like that. Like, I can't wait. That's always on my mind. And fantasy football, it gets me because I do this stuff too. And now, this is awesome having this show. So it's like I getting more stuff added to the plate, and I'm all about that. But how fantasy is. You guys know you could be, it doesn't matter. You can be at a wedding, be taking a dump. It doesn't matter where you are. You're like, I'm just going to get on fantasy. And then an hour later, you're like, I'm going to trade. This guy's going to trade me this. None of it ever happens. And then you're just like, oh, well, I'm glad I just wasted 3 hours convincing myself. And then on Sunday, taking out that player or doing something and then it coming back to bite you in the ass. No better feeling than wasting all that time for an entire week, especially at the end of the year when you don't win and you're like, yeah. I don't care though, man. I'm all about it. I love it, dude. I'm all about, because opens you up to all football. I mean, I'm like that anyway. I'm always watching as much as I possibly can about anything about football. But, when there's a chance for fantasy, and that's obviously makes it a lot more intriguing for people like us that play fantasy because we've got stuff on the line. So it's just funny. You're sitting, hanging out with your friends, like, come on, 5 damn yards. Like, you don't even need a win. You're just literally yelling at players and it's funny. You see people on social media going after these guys, and some of them answering. It's funny. It's like, look, man, I'm not here. Play for your damn fantasy. And it's rough, man, because you see the guys kneeling. I was at the game last year where Miles Sanders kneeled, and my brother had him on fantasy, and I was actually recording it like right next to him. You can hear him. He's like, like all of it's like, ah, but it's just fun. You have that connection. And, I was saying earlier, my brother runs his fantasy, so it's cool. Like, we last year, like I said, we got to do it the links. That was nuts, but we always have like a little draft party. We always do stuff and have a good time. And we all love that camaraderie. And we're going to hopefully, if there's any kind of thing like that going on at ATD, like, yeah, I'm sure Tom's got his hand in that. He's got A2D poker going on. If you haven't checked that out, I mean, there's everything from wrestling to soccer to golf to everybody. And I love it, man. And MMA, all of it. So, I mean, you saw earlier some of you guys, there was an actual MMA fighter and NFL player on the show. Like, it's awesome, man. So I love what Tom's building. And I love, that he wanted me to be a part of that, and I like just what I've seen from the guys that are already part of it, like how they reach out and like setting the show up beforehand, like structured. It's very nice. Like, I love it, man. I'm excited. So like, this is my second week. Like I said, though, it's different. I don't have control over the comments, which makes it different for me. Like, it's definitely cool because I don't have to sit here and like go through stuff and worry about, like, I got Ralphie, my man, hooking me up, throwing him down there, and it's like, that's cool. And we can hit the topic, we can hit, the poll question, whatever you guys want. And it's like, that's awesome. Like, and I look forward to building that and continuing to build on that. Every Friday, I hope you guys continue to tune in. And, Brian was nice enough to want to join, and I'll keep reaching out. We'll see who else wants to, because stop being a wuss and meet these people. Because, especially with Corona and things like that. And obviously some of us don't even live near each other, so you got to meet through here. But it's awesome. I've met all kinds of awesome people through this. And it's like, and some people, they give media a bad rep. It's like, let's be real here. If it's good media, you want the truth. You want good stuff, don't you? We all enjoy like you're watching, right? You're watching TV, you're doing things. It's like, we all want that. But of course, we don't want trash. But that's where you got to try to change the game, because there's a lot of trash out there. Lots. It drove me. Like, I literally did this because I couldn't take it anymore. I felt there was too much trash. And I'm not saying I'm any better than anybody, but I knew other people wanted to talk sports and not clickbait and stuff that was never going to happen, and just dumb. It was just like, okay. And finding other people like that, that's what's up. And I'm all about it. I appreciate that, Prism. I really do, man. And I was really glad that you tuned in too, because I thought about you. I didn't want to jump on too much on the show earlier. I mean, it's not my show, but I definitely wanted to be there and tune in and help those guys out. I was happy to be a part of it. But I saw your comment, and I liked it, because look at the test that Dillard has ahead of him. When you look at the guys you talk about, the 10+ sack guys he's going against, my God. And that's, if he's lining up against them. But obviously we have Lane on the other side. But why put yourself in a situation where if you can't handle them, we're going to have a really bad time. And you let Vaitai go to the Lions. So, I mean, that's a guy that comes in and helps too. So, I don't know, man. It's a risky business. So, I think, JP coming back would be a situation where I really just, I would be excited that, if we got added, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But, I really appreciate, the kind words, appreciate you tuning in, because I'm really glad that you tuned in, because that question was a good one, man. And you, Tom, my man, thanks for tuning in, brother. We were just talking about A2D, the takeover talk, all the things that you've been doing, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. I appreciate the compliment from Prism here. He actually was just talking about one of the things he brought up earlier in the video today, and glad he's tuning in. But big challenge ahead for Andre Dillard. So why not? One of the things that you and I have been harping on, bring back JP. Like, give me up. Like, it's just clear as day. You don't need to sit here and be like, oh, well, you know what? Let's risk it. Slap the heckle. It's only like the second most important possession on. Really? Hey, better late than never, my man. Glad you're here. I sent you out a little thing before I went on. I was like, hey, man, don't have any guests. Nobody wanted to reach out, and I don't really know anyone from the group, so I don't want to. But I reached out to Tom. I was like, more than welcome to hop on. But, I love talking with you guys. You keep the questions coming, and I'll keep doing what I can, but I will definitely try to bring people like Tom. Brian was nice enough to, say he'd come on. So I'll definitely give you guys what you're craving, and that's the thing, everybody likes different things, and, we can agree to disagree on things, and it's like, so maybe you like someone else. So maybe I can bring them on. Maybe we can get different perspectives, but it's like, I don't ever want to sit here and push you away. You know what I mean? It's like, we can bust balls, we can have fun, but we can agree to disagree on a lot of things. And that's, in today's world, I wish a lot more people would do that. And it's great to be a part of something like this. So thank you again, Tom. And I hope to, not just make you guys sit here and watch me every week, but I don't mind this. And I thought, hey, last week we had Tom on for a little, and then you guys had to listen to me, but gave me a chance to, really get to know some of you guys, and I appreciate the people from On the Road to Victory, my group, that tuned in to On the Road to Victory Live with Jimmy Smith. I've been posting about it, so I'm pumped. I appreciate all the people that have been supporting me, but to the new people, I really appreciate it, for giving me a chance, and hopefully, I can give you any kind of knowledge that I have. I will try. I'm somebody that just has loved sports since I was little. It's something I've played since I was just a little wee one, and, it was something my father, especially with talking about sports, he hated Chris Collinsworth. Like Joe Buck, those guys, Troy Aikman, he could not take it. And, I'd always talk about stuff, and I'd be talking about the players and the number. And like, I used to get busted on. My friends were like, dude, you can sit here and tell us their jockstrap size. Like, just always busting on me. And that's fine, because my passion is that deep about football. And it wasn't just about Eagles, because I've always been intense, because like I play fantasy too, but it's not, it's just, I've always had that mindset. Like, I just always wanted to know every player on every team, on everything. So that was something that I did in school, broadcasting and stuff. So I figured I was stuck, dude, in a bed. Like, I literally was like, I didn't know how I was going to do. I survived some of the things that were happening, but I had to recuperate. So I figured, hey, it's like kind of like, when I met Tom, like we talked about this, it's kind of like his story. It's like people have been telling him like, all right, man, like you talk about it enough. So it's like, I need to reach out to people that like that people that aren't like, all right, dude, shut up. Like, you want to talk sports at all times. And it's through my blood, baby. And I don't care. You want to talk about badminton? Let's talk about it. Tell me about it. Teach me about it. I don't know anything. So if there's something I know about, I'll try it. I'll do my best. And it's something where, unfortunately with this quarantine, wasn't working, wasn't doing anything. Instead of moping, it was like, let's turn this into something. So I always do this when it comes to the draft and stuff, but crazy enough, right before all the quarantine stuff, I worked like 23 days straight, I think it was. And I was like, I'm not getting any time to learn this draft. And I was seeing all these articles, and it was killing me. I wanted to have my opinion on things be known. And then all of a sudden this crap happened. So be careful what you wish for. But really got some time to study these players. I really got time to sit there and, just do some homework on some of these kids. And it was exciting. And it's just what I do every year. So I want to give that to people. And we got to sit here and we talked about, I said I thought Jalen Reagor. And a lot of people, were telling like, Justin Jefferson. I was like, look, Justin Jefferson was actually one of the first receivers I brought up when I was doing, but you get that. Not everyone watches your videos, and I can't blame you for that. You're going to try to tune into every damn show I do. But, I try to let what I say be known. So it's like my opinions are my own. Like, that's why I created this place, because there's just too much. It's like you read something, like you can read someone's comment. You can read articles, and you can be like, I literally just heard that from someone. Like, and sure, you're talking about certain things where there's only so much you can say about things, but you guys know what I'm talking about. And then the clickbait stuff, the stuff like that. It was just like, I want to be part of something different. And Tom is giving me that opportunity. So Oh, we're gonna ride, dude. And just imagine, like, this is no sports. Like, we don't have anything yet. So looks like we're on the horizon. And I'm very excited. I honestly, hockey just got figured out. Baseball is still figuring it out. Basketball looks like it's a go. You know, football's back in business today. People are back at the facility. So looking like, now I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. A lot of people, I hope everyone's safe. I hope this corona thing is going away and it doesn't spread, and I hope it doesn't get worse. Just leave it at that. I want to see everybody live no more than 110,000 dead. So let's hope that we all figured it out. We'll figure it out. We'll keep figuring it out, and we'll get sports back. Now, talked about this a little bit earlier in the video, not this video, when I was on with Steven and Tom, Chris, and Pisa. You know, I think, hold on one second. Oh, wait, sorry. I accidentally hit live comments. My bad. Now I completely forgot what I was talking about. Not drifting off. Whatever. We'll drift. How about we drift back to what we were originally talking about? Now, there is an idea. We went through free agency. We talked about Darius Slay being the best addition there. Draft, Jalen Reagor, hands down, best addition there because he gives you that speed receiver. That's what we traded. That's why we got Deshaun Jackson. That's why we added a speed receiver, and we saw what we did to the Falcons. We saw what we had when we made that comeback. If we would have had that all year, it would have been a different story. That's why you go out and you get 4 different guys that are going to compete. You know, I can't wait, you know, because all those guys have speed. Reagor, Goodwin, Hightower, Watkins, all going to push that wide receiver speed position, and multiple guys on the field at the same time. Carson having a heyday. You got Goddard and Ertz in the middle. You got Jeffrey. You've got them all. It's going to be a very, very intriguing year, and I can't wait to see it. So I'm pumped about, you know, the draft, all that stuff. If Dillard holds up tests, Ralphie. You must be saying Ralphie is a Dillard believer. Well, then me and Ralphie are going to get along great. Last year, like I said, I do 1 mock draft per year. Just try to, you know, do as much homework as I can and then give you what I feel. Last year, I thought, not this year, but the year before, I thought, you know, Andre Dillard would be a perfect pick for us. That's who I went with. I really just felt, you know, that the kid fit what we do here. Just needed to work on his run blocking. So I still believe in him. So Ralphie, right there with you, brother. I just also feel, you know, you can also believe in him, but also have a backup plan. So we'll definitely have to talk about that. Definitely intrigued. So we'll see what happens there, but I'd love to have a backup plan. TCU fan. Reagor's legit. Oh yeah. John, my man, I got asked, you know, I write for 4th and John, and I was asked to do a breakdown video. Hey, you know, what receiver do you like? Who do you think's the best fit for the Eagles? And, you know, I'm looking at some names, and sure, CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, some guys that you really like, but Jalen Reagor. I thought he was more realistic, and I made a whole video about it, man. Broke it down, all 3 levels. Kid's tough. You know, the quarterback play was a problem. We talked about all this, man. So I agree with you. I think the kid's wow. I think he's a little Steve Smith in the making. Just needs to toughen up a little. They stay healthy, Carson. We'll have plenty of weapons. Yeah, Tom, right before you got on, that's something we were just talking about, brother. Exactly. Somebody asked me a question. They were like, something about Carson Wentz, you know, not doing well, whatever it was. And I was just like, well, contrary to that thought, he actually did, you know, not having weapons last year, not having a receiver go over 500 yards, and having 4,000 yards for yourself with the garbage pail kids, taking that team against divisional opponents, tough games, winning those games, and showing up in the playoffs. And then your quarterback gets a cheap shot. And you almost still win with Josh McCown. Ridiculous. We didn't know if we were seeing another Cinderella story. Wild as hell. But yeah, now he has weapons. So one of the things I talked about too earlier was Carson Wentz. You know, he is going to be elite. Are people finally going to see that he's elite? You know, are they going to have to just put a sock in it? You know, just like with Tom Brady, you know, we all hate him. Okay. But we all know that he's a great quarterback, right? You just have to bite the bullet. Cheating or not, you know, it sucks, you know, but it is what it is. People are going to have to taste that because now he has weapons. So exactly, Tom. Yeah. What we talked about, adding speed, adding things around him. That's going to open up the run game. It's going to make things easier for these tight ends. Who are you keying on exactly when you look across from you and you see Deshaun Jackson, Marquise Goodwin, Jalen Reagor, Miles Sanders is there, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, whatever packages you want to use. I think this is something we've all been waiting for. And clearly we went down nostalgia road last couple of years. We thought Sproles still had that. We had some places where we missed defensive end. I think, we had Chris Long and Michael Bennett that year. You need to some things we talked about last week that you need to address. Defense is top 10. Great question. I talked about this with someone. I do think they could be top 10. I really do think this team could be top 10 because you look at, they didn't do like great, but there were games where Jim's D was holding people under like 21 points where they should have been getting slaughtered. Like there were times where I was very impressed when I looked at things where it was like, okay, the offense wasn't doing this. But if you look at the pieces we had, sure, linebackers, very questionable. Who is cornerback number 2? Very questionable. Can the 3 safeties we talk about fill the void for Malcolm Jenkins, Parks, Mills, and Kayvon Wallace? We'll see. It's very intriguing, but, it starts on the front for us. So big question mark at defensive end. But I love Javon Hargrave. And Malik Jackson you have to look at as an addition too. He didn't really play at all last year. He got the practice and yeah, this guy's going to play inside and out. Talked about Ridgeway. It's going to be a great rotation up front there. That's going to make it easier for the defensive ends. So maybe Avery and Sweat step it up. Maybe Sharif Miller gets a chance to play. Maybe Deshaun Hall comes back from his injury and he plays well. Joe Osman looked great last year in camp. Maybe Casey Toohill steps it up, our last pick of the draft this year. You don't know where you're going to get there, but I hope we get something. And that's why I talked about last week. Maybe you add an Everson Griffin or Jabal Sheard because the year that we added Chris Long and Michael Bennett worked out pretty well. You got to have that rotation. You got it. So if you have that, if we do add someone like that, I think, and not to say that you need to because I haven't seen them play. So you have to take everything I say with a grain of salt. When I get to see them, I'll give you more of a definitive answer. But maybe Avery steps it up. I love Josh Sweat, and I really think he could be something. So maybe he steps it up. But then you also look at Brandon Graham's getting up there in age, man. So got to replace that. So veterans don't necessarily bring that answer. So maybe they want to see these young guys play, so maybe that is the answer. But then we talked about Darius Slay, being the best addition of this video. That's the question here. But, he comes in and he makes not only the other cornerbacks better, he makes all of them better. He teaches them things. He shows them they want to compete with him. But the wide receivers, Carson Wentz, everybody's learning from him. And then just like we talk about the defensive line helping the people behind them, same thing goes. If Darius Slay is actually locking somebody down, like, well, actually this wide receiver isn't destroying us like we get destroyed. We're not letting Ryan Fitzpatrick go ham on us with Devontae Parker. Like, you can't allow that kind of stuff to happen. Mari Cooper, like I said earlier in the video, you talked about what did he have 21 yards per game when playing against Darius Slay and the Detroit Lions. Not good, about like a 30% catch percentage. Not good, man. Darius Slay holding it down. That addition is great. Going to do wonderful things. I don't know if the offense necessarily makes it easier on us, though, because we're racking up points. The defense might get a little tired. So there's a possibility, man. There definitely is. The linebacker and safety, there's questions. I get it, but I've talked about this. With the schemes and the matchup Jim's used, I think he's going to figure this out. Everson Griffin, yeah. Exactly. That's the guy I've been very high on. Him and Sheard, I think, would be the same price. Play a role like Chris Long. Yep, and exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about, and I agree 100% with you. You add veterans like that, 1-year deal. Clearly, they're not coming in here for a long, everybody talk about Clowney. It's like, I just don't see it. Too much money. Going to have to be a 1-year deal. We talk about $51 million rolling over with the cap space next year. That's going to be a problem for Howie. I'm sure he'll figure it out, but don't make it more of a problem for yourself. Add yourself a couple veteran guys, just like the Chris Long, Michael Bennett experiment. Give yourself a rotation. Why not? You get the same price you probably get Griffin and Sheard that you could Clowney. So you got $23.5 million. Why don't you just go ahead? And we've talked about that. There's depth that was my video last week. There is depth concerns at multiple positions. We talked about if Miles Sanders get hurt. You worry, left tackle, Jason Peters. You talk about linebackers. A lot of questions there. Cornerback number 2. I'd love to see Sidney Jones step it up. Maybe they believe more in their corners. Trevor Williams coming in. Maybe he finds a new home and balls out. Vontae Maddox is going to have to compete for that second role, but he could be used around more, like I've talked about, with those schemes and matchups against little running backs, tight ends, stuff like that. Well, not necessarily tight ends for him, but these guys are going to get moved around. The safeties, the nickels, the outside corners, all of them will be playing different roles. Minus probably Darius Slay, who's your number one. But, you look at it, I don't care what you want to call people. It doesn't matter what, this is number one, and he's two, and these guys are going to get time. Some of these are going to play more. Now, with Malcolm Jenkins being out, that's going to create a lot of play time for people that would have, perhaps if it's one person, now you're going to get a whole slew of different people that are going to have to play in different scenarios that Malcolm Jenkins himself could have covered. So maybe Mills is better at this, and Parks is better at that. Or, you have Kayvon Wallace. Yeah, I think it's going to start off slow for some of these young guys, but, they will definitely, throughout the season, I think Kayvon Wallace will step it up. But in the beginning, you'll see these guys, and then you'll see some of the smaller guys, matching up. And you see a lot of, the slot guys, running backs coming out of the backfield. So you need guys like this. You need your Nickel Roby-Colemans. You need your Kavon LeBlanc. You need Avonte Maddox. I think these guys are jack-of-all-trade type players, and that's exactly what we talked about for free agency, the draft, the kind of players that we needed. That's what we did. And I thought we did well. I really did. If we get Griffin, he'll have that line we need. Exactly. And that's exactly right. That's how you get that back. That's how you won in 2017. That's exactly how you got that trophy. And we're going to get along just fine, my man, because honestly, I can't stress enough every week, and we'll enjoy it during especially football season. But run the ball, and you got to get pressure on the quarterback. And I mean, when your team is predicated off that, when you want to run RPO so much on offense, you got to establish the run. And the same goes on defense when now injuries, okay? I understand injuries definitely played a part on what our defense was capable of doing. I just thought edge rushers needed to be emphasized on. And this year, there was a couple names I talked about. I thought maybe we could address in the draft, maybe in free agency. But you see some of those guys that are still out there in free agency. And yeah, I agree with you. I think Everson Griffin would be the great choice. I know Danielle Hunter is over there on the Vikings, and I think that overshadows what Everson Griffin has done. But the guy's a Pro Bowler. The guy is really good. And I think they're just waiting for the dominoes to fall with Clowney to really see what he's getting paid. So, I mean, obviously, Corona, all that good stuff is playing a part in why we're being held back. But now that things are working, people are in the office, they can actually talk, they can actually make things happen. I think we're going to see a lot more stuff finally happening. We're going to get a little more excitement. I think by next week we'll have a lot more to definitely talk about. And I mean, I'll always have something to talk about. I bleed green, but I love sports, football, anything, so it doesn't matter to me. You guys, anything, anytime you ever want, I'm always here, dude. I'm nuts. But you talk about, the whole premise of the video today was, talking about who the top guys were. Now, greatest edition, we broke it down into three different parts, I think, where, Slay is your best in free agency, and overall, I think overall he's the best. That's the answer for the day. But, Rieger was the best in the draft. I think he's going to have a huge impact. But then you look at someone like Michael Warren. I think he's going to be the best out of the undrafted free agent class. Someone like Dante Olson at linebacker is a tackling machine, but TJ Edwards is pretty good at that. So who knows? But I think Michael Warren would be the most intriguing name there. He's going to push Elijah Holyfield, and can't wait to see, what that kid actually has. And it's very exciting. But, also we talked about, making medical staff changes. It wasn't just players, because the issues weren't just with the players. We had the players. I feel like if people would have stayed healthy and if the coaching would have been different, then things would have been different. Now, I'm not trying to sit here, Captain Hindsight here, like no shit, Sherlock, but clearly, you got to sit here and look at the changes they made and be excited. You got to. The players, defense was lacking, and the question was just not too long ago, like, will we be top 10? I think we could be. I really think this team is going to improve greatly. I think people are going to be shocked. And everyone hates the Eagles, so if you're not an Eagles fan, you don't want to admit that. But look at the additions, man, that we talked about today. Like, that defense. Hargrave is going to open it up for Cox. Malik's going to come in. I mean, it's just loving it. Slay's going to make everybody better around him. Going to be a leader in the locker room. Love McLeod coming back. I love Mills moving back to safety. I love Will Parks being brought in for the Broncos. I love drafting Kayvon. So there's a lot of great moves, and I talked about this in the videos during free agency after the draft. There's a lot to be excited about as an Eagles fan, and we just have to watch out for injuries. So what did we do? Mix up the medical department. I love that. And then you add new coaches. We talked about Moorhead earlier. Matt Burke got moved around. He's like the run game coordinator now, so they're going to try to get better than that. We used to be one of the top run defense. That was the one thing. You guys remember? Like, we always had that. We could even have sucked there for that little bit there, and we still had the best run D. Like, you couldn't run on us at least, and now that's fading. Not okay with that. Fletcher needs to stay healthy. We'll be all right, but we're making changes. You're adding people. Marquand Manuel, that's another great change I forgot to mention. As a defensive back coach, I watched him play as a kid, so it's cool, but I love to see what he did over there with the Seahawks and with the Falcons. So I'm intrigued to see what he's going to do for the Eagles. And we talked about that. Him having someone like Darius Slay as his top guy, he's going to use him, as a general to help him make these corners around him better and hopefully, figure out whatever the hell's going on here, because can't take it much more, man. I really, really can't. You saw Press Taylor got moved up. He keeps moving up in the ranks. Hit or miss with him. People either hate him or love him. I don't have much of an opinion. I think from what I've read and things I see, they really like him. So I'm pumped. If he's a bright mind in that room, I'm all about it. And same with that, like Andrew Briner and TJ Paganetti, I want to say his name is. Don't quote me on that. But those are some guys that are moved in the pass game analysis, the run game. These are guys that are going to come in and try to improve both facets of the offense. And then you got guys on defense that we just talked about. So I couldn't be more than excited because all the damn complaints I had last year, they were like, oh, okay. Just checked it off the list for me. And I'm not saying like, yeah, that's it. We've won the Super Bowl. That's it. We had a great draft. Hell no, man. We're going to have to fight. We're one of the toughest divisions in the league. I don't care what anybody says. It's always a battle to the death, especially when they're facing each other. But always goes to the end. I love the new format with the schedules where we all get to play each other. So I'm excited to see how, this season plays out. We've got a tough schedule ahead. Not going to lie to you. So you can't just sit here and be like, oh, we're going to beat everybody. Not what I'm saying at all. I'm just very confident because I've been confident because we won the Super Bowl with a lot less. Now we've got the main pieces back. We actually have our quarterback that led us to the road to the Super Bowl. Like, without him, we don't get there. We don't. He dominated everyone that year. He was on pace to win the MVP. Don't care what anyone says. You can just go ahead and watch those tapes. It's clear as day. Now that he has weapons, now that he has a running back, I mean, he's got tight ends, receivers, running backs. He's got an offensive line, one of the best in the damn game. Pray to God that they put JP behind Dillard for safety. But, hey, whatever happens, let's hope for the best. I believe in Dillard. So, hey, if they don't, let's just hope. Hope he holds it down. We'll see. But then the defense, we improved. We did. But we're facing tough teams, man. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's going to be a tough as nails season. But I'm excited. I hope you're excited too because we've been dealing with it, man. And like I said, we have that same head coach, that same quarterback from a few years ago. Now, we change up a bunch of things, sure, but the whole premise of this offense and defense is still the same. Jim Schwartz is still there. And I think that's going to be the biggest surprise, honestly. The defense, when you add, so many weapons and pieces, that are jack of all trades, like the ones that we have. I think it's really going to benefit Jim Schwartz and what he does. I think people are going to lay off a little bit, obviously, with the offense actually scoring points and doing well. Make it a little bit easier on them. Also, at the same time, maybe a little bit harder if you're scoring too much like we used to. I always come back to, that year when what Carson Wentz did to those Broncos, man. Von Miller, Chris Harris, Aqib Talib. Like, we ran out of fireworks. People understand. That was it, man. We were stomping everyone. And that was like, what, week 9, 10, something like that. And people are like, yeah, well, you guys have just been lucky. This is the game where you're going to find out. Yep, this is it. This is the one. Yeah, well, they found out. What's crazy is that team won the Super Bowl without Carson Wentz, without Darren Sproles, without Jason Peters, without all these people. Like, I don't understand it, man. I don't. I really don't. It is what it is, though. But I think there's a lot of question marks. So I understand. Some people are a little iffy on how's this season going to go. Obviously not as optimistic as I am. That's all right. I try to be optimistic, but I also try to be real with you, And the only reason I'm so high on Reagor is because I was so high on him for a month before the draft. I wouldn't sit here and just say like, oh, this guy's awesome because that's who we drafted. Now I am going to support him because that's my guy, but Jared balls out. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm just talking about. Jalen Reagor, and you're somebody, Tom, that I talked to about, and you were a little hesitant. And I was on a live video with one of my buddies during the draft, and he was not happy about it. So I have plenty of friends. You are not alone. Plenty of people, and they wanted Justin Jefferson. They didn't want Reagor. Some people wanted linebackers. Some people, it was all over the place. But the only reason I felt good about it was because I studied him so hard and did so much tape. Because once I picked him, I watched some tape on about 5 of them, pretty tough, and then I chose Reagor. And then once they were like, okay, that you're going to do the video on it, I was like, oh, I better really know what I'm talking about, right? So I really just inside and out. And I wanted to see, like, what are they seeing that they, talk and trash him. I like to just watch games, man. Like, I'm not huge on sitting there. I'm not going to rewind and sit there. I don't need to sit there for hours, waste my time. Like, let's watch it. Let's see it. What do you got for me? And what I was seeing, and I did get to break some things down because I wanted to. I wanted to slow things down with his hip movement and the way he breaks, man. The way he works on all 3 levels, the way he goes up and gets it, uses his hands, and he had some concentration drops, and that's something I talked about earlier in the video. Also think about playing for a crappy team. When you were the only good kid in like high school, and you're like, all right, when I get this damn thing, we better make it happen. And so you're just thinking ahead. And I think he's not going to have that issue here. He's not going to be the focal point of this offense. He's going to be a big piece of it for sure. He's going to be that Z receiver. He's going to move around in motion. He's going to line up off the line of scrimmage. So his knocks of not being able to block, not being able to, get off the press, he's not going to have to. He's not going to be our X receiver. He's not going to be lined up on the line of scrimmage. This guy is definitely going to be used sparingly in the beginning when it comes to, we're not going to throw him over the middle and try to kill this kid. But he can do that, man. He can do it all. And the thing he can do the most is take off the top. And it's what we've needed. He's going to be our next Deshaun Jackson that we've been all thirsting for since Deshaun Jackson. Because it's not been Shelton Gibson. Torrey Smith did a great job. Love it. Mike Wallace, we tried there. He didn't pan out. So it's time. It was time to get ourselves a speedster, especially when you look up to someone like Andy Reid, like Doug does. He sees what he does with Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman. So you go ahead and you don't just add someone like Jalen Reagor. You get Goodwin, you get Hightower, you get Watkins. You make sure that this kid's good enough. And if he isn't, well, then those other kids beat him. And then he's sitting there having to, and I'm not saying you're cutting him because he's your damn first-round pick, but he's not playing. If Hightower comes out there at 6'2", running a 4.3, and he's out there jumping up, going and getting the ball, running good routes, working on things during this time, he can beat him out. And I think that's the beautiful thing about Doug and them. I think, they're just looking for people to push each other. And that's, what we added. So I'm excited. I'm beyond excited. One frogs of every receiver drafted. Jeremy Curley. Oh, man. Yeah, man. But I think Reagor, that's cool. You're a TCU fan, so you've seen Max Duggan was not, 30.7 on target pass percentage, 3rd worst in college football. That's really bad, and you look at the first, couple years, he progressed after his freshman year, had 9 touchdowns and like 8 touchdowns, then drops off and has 5. And, 4 out of those 5 were over 20+ yard touchdowns. So the kid is a burner. Imagine him with a quarterback. Woo-hoo. Yep, exactly, Tom. Gotta love the competition. You gotta have the competition, because if a guy coming in that was just crying last year, now he thinks he's just given the job. Oh, hell no. You better prove it. Your ass better be in there competing, dude. What's going on, Jake, my brother? We got about a minute left, my man. Thanks for tuning in. Just having my second show, loving every minute of it. I love you guys tuning in, bringing all the questions. It's been another fantastic show. If you guys have any last questions you want to toss up for me, you're more than welcome to. I'll try to answer them here. But yeah, it's been another awesome night. I can't thank Tom enough for letting me be a part of the HUD family, but thank you, Ralphie, for being the producer for tonight's show and helping me out. Thank you for all the guys that are sharing this, that are being a part of this. I will definitely share your shows. Just show me what shows you do. I all about it. Yep, that's right, Jake. Let's go. Got the drifter hair going, man. I got my own wings going. It's been a wild quarantine, try to trim up, and now I just look like 13-year-old me all over again. Can't get the beard back. Wonderful. It's been a wonderful quarantine, but I couldn't have made it any better by joining this family and being able to talk with you guys. It's been awesome. Truly has. And I hope to see you guys on other shows, stuff like that. Converse with you guys. That's right, Tom Drifter. We were talking about that earlier. Some Drifter talk. Love it. But this has been awesome. Can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. I hope that you guys will tune in again. Check us out, HUD Radio, and all over the place. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go subscribe to YouTube. We're definitely trying to blow up there. We're live there. Some of you guys tune in from there. I saw Zach from the earlier video. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys are awesome. So make sure you're following. You guys can follow me on all those platforms on the road to victory, Jimmy Smith. And seriously, it has been phenomenal. So I hope you guys all have a safe and wonderful Friday night. But I'm about to get rolling. You know how this show goes. But as always, Commerce!